Welcome to free agency, y'all. It's already been an hour and 8 minutes, and it's absolutely bananas. It is absolutely bananas in here with everything that is going on. We're gonna go through, like, just a recap of everything real quick. But, yeah, there's already been huge signings, all over the place, and that's really, really exciting. If you're a team that wants your team to improve, like, that's really good. We've got some coffee this morning. I mean, can't really complain. Can't really complain. Something just came in. The Titans have agreed to terms. Titans have agreed to terms on a 2-year deal with Mitch Trubisky. Wow, North Carolina standout. So let's go through all of the signings real quick. All of the signings. If we can get, let's start at the Alec Pierce news because the Alec Pierce news came in real quick. So Indianapolis lands Alec Pierce. He could have taken more money, but he ends up back. He ends up back with with Indianapolis. I think it's going to be a 4-year, hundred and something $1 million, something like that. Corner Eric Stokes back to the Raiders. Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth. I'm just going through Adam Schefter's tweets, by the way. Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker is signing with the Chiefs, per source. Cade Otton is returning to Tampa Bay, per source. So they get to keep their player, which is really, 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 really good for them. What else? Former Kansas City cornerback Jalen Watson reached agreement on a three-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams, so that's a big deal. Laramie Tunsil reached an agreement on a 2-year, $60.2 million contract extension with Washington. This was the big one. Jaden Phillips has agreed to a 4-year. Jaden Phillips has agreed to a 4-year, $120 million for my Carolina Panthers, $80 million of guarantees. Amazing. Michael Pittman is traded to the Steelers. They're swapping late round picks. Pittsburgh is preparing to sign Michael Pittman to an extension. That's interesting. Malik Willis has reached an agreement with the Miami Dolphins. The Giants reached an agreement on a 3-year deal with former Ravens Isaiah Likely. So that's a thing. Pretty interesting. What else? The Jets reached an agreement today with Joseph Asai. Joseph Asai was one of a really sneaky team that I thought was really good. $36 million deal that includes $22.5 million guaranteed. What else? Lamario Davis reached an agreement with the Jets. So there's just a lot of news. Also, teams have offered. So this is via Greg Almond. Teams have offered. Let me see if I can pull it up. North of $27 million for Mike Evans. Teams have offered more than $27 million for Mike Evans. It's insane. It's insane the amount of money that teams are offering, that teams are willing to give. But yeah, that is just, and we're just beginning. This is literally just starting right now. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited about what's going to happen. And yeah, let's get to some of the coverage in terms of what people are saying, and we'll go from there. I think The Athletic has normally a really good also Mina Kimes is live. Let's see what Mina's saying. Yeah, so I think Mina Kimes right now is reacting live. So let's see what Mina's saying, and we'll go from there. And then we'll go to The Athletic, and we'll go to some other people too. But I don't know why it's not letting. Normally, it just lets me share. Oh, here we go. Share screen. Share. Oh, hold on. Share screen. Share screen. All right. Here we go.
Frustration, Kenny G to the Bucks. Rashad White was a free agent. I thought
Kenneth Gainwell with Bucky Irving? For why?
Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
I thought Kenny G would sign somewhere where he would have a chance to be the lead dog. I don't know.
Is he big enough to be the lead dog? That's my thing. It's just Bucky's not big and Kenneth's not big. Bucky Irving is 5'9", 192. Kenneth is
good for him. 2 years, 14.
5'8", 200. All right. The Buccaneers running back room can't see over the wall. Like, this is not a big group at all.
Okay. I'm just going to go back to reading those names, though, that are still out there. Trey Hendrickson, who we discussed. Devin Lloyd. I saw a report that it seems unlikely that he's going to return to the Jaguars.
Yeah, I think he's going to make big money.
Yeah, he's Dafe Owe, and Boye Mafe, two of the edges. None of the edges outside of Jalen Phillips. Shaheed.
I want Owe to sign so badly. I want Owe to sign so badly with the Panthers.
Oh no, Brees returned.
Romeo Doubs is a big one to me.
Yes. Every single team, every single fan base in the NFL thinks that they're signing Romeo Doubs.
Well, he's a classic good wide receiver too, so he fits everywhere. Oh, he can block, he can go down the field, he can yards after the catch. So there's no way you can't talk yourself into Romeo Doubs.
It would not be surprising to me if Doubs signed with the 49ers, by the way. Like that feels like a perfect fit for all sides involved.
Sitting on your team, very handy player in that way. Good cope player.
Reek Woolen, Jamel Dean amongst the corners. Mike Evans, obviously. So yeah, quite a few. Okay. The Malik Willis thing also introduces the question of what the hell are the Cardinals going to do at quarterback? Because there was a lot of smoke around that team, connecting them to Willis. So the quarterback carousel narrowed a little bit. Now that Indianapolis and Miami are out of the running, we are still looking at Arizona, the Jets, the Steelers. Increasingly seems like they're just going to bring back Rodgers. The Vikings are the belle of the ball. Yeah. The Vikings, to me, the two quarterbacks we've got eyes on are Kyler Murray and Geno Smith. All of these quarterbacks are cheap at this point. Now that Malik was the guy who you had to pay. Turns out not that much money, but any of these guys now can be signed for pretty small amounts of money. At this point, if you were Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Arizona, the Jets. There was a report also connecting the Falcons to Tua.
Yeah.
It's a funny one. Which would you, for those five teams that I just mentioned, which quarterbacks would you prefer? We're not talking about what will happen. What would you like to see for those teams?
Kyler to the Vikings for sure. Now, you hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, is he a scheme fit?" Brother, it's Kyler Murray. Like, I understand. Yeah, I understand that he hasn't
put the money there every time we talk about this.
Yes, which for people who are listening and haven't been dialed in on the cap minutia of free agency.
I think what's a little crazy about this stuff with Kyler to the Vikings is I was listening to some guy say it's not a good scheme fit. I completely agree with Mina. Who else are you going to get? Are you really going to roll out with JJ McCarthy? Like, are you really going to say, oh yeah, JJ McCarthy's our boy? Like JJ McCarthy's our guy. We're gonna do this with JJ. No, that's not gonna happen. Like, go get your guy.
When you have big contracts, mass amounts of base salary.
Line, you have Breece Hall, you have the receiver group at the moment is AD Mitchell, Garrett Wilson. Just reading it down, otherwise I would start. Garrett Wilson, AD Mitchell, John Mechie. Okay.
Mason Taylor
at tight end. Like, if you're, let's say, put yourself in the head of a Geno or a Tua or one of these guys that kind of have their pick of where to go, would you rather go to the Cardinals or the Jets or the Falcons?
Falcons, I think for sure. I trust.
Even though that's the competition, you're actually competing there. Should be noted.
Yeah. If I don't think I can beat what I've seen from Michael Penix now coming off a major knee injury, then that's we've got a separate problem here. weapons in Atlanta are remarkably better. Drake London, Kyle Pitts on the tag, and then Bijan Robinson. Even if they don't get something done with Pitts, Bijan and Drake alone carry enough weight. That line, I think, is quite good, though they're getting a little bit old and probably needs to be retooled. And then I think, okay, Frank Reich back with the Jets. Maybe that's something. Ooh, Mike LaFleur's second opportunity with the Cardinals. Maybe that's something. Man, I know Kevin Stefanski's good at this. He might not be as good at this as I think he is. Maybe he should have figured stuff out in Cleveland that he didn't. But I'm positive over 8 years of what he had to deal with or 6 years of what he had to deal with in Cleveland, quarterback-wise and offensive line-wise, I'm positive he's definitely good at this. And that's just kind of somewhere in the range of like 10th best OC to 16th best OC or whatever it is. And so to me, Atlanta is the spot I would want to land. And I feel confident in my ability to win that job over a hampered Penix in camp for a new coaching staff. That to me feels like a win.
Well, this is a good time to talk about the reports that Atlanta is interested in Tua Tagovailoa, who you and I were joking before we started taping. If you took Tua's heat map and Michael Penix Jr.'s heat map as passers, in addition both of them being left-handed, obviously, and you
holes in their games in one way or
Deontay Lee is really good from the ringer, so we're just going to hear what he has to say. Because I love Mina, but that was getting a little boring.
another. And I'm really curious about how they piece this all together. I wonder if we're just going to see Aaron Glenn, because he knows that his job is kind of on the line, just throwing everything at the wall and hoping that a bunch of blitzes and a bunch of zone coverages ends up sticking for them in a way that it didn't last year.
This one's really fun. I mean, this is like a full circle moment for the Athletic Football Show, period. Reggie Gilliam, 3 years, $12 million, $6 million guaranteed to go to the New England Patriots.
Let's go. Of course, it's the New England Patriots. Let's go.
This is why I got out of bed this morning. I need to pull that contract.
I do actually love
That's
this.
hilarious.
I do too.
If you watch their offense last year, some of the stuff that they were doing with Jack Westover, who was their like tight end, like small tight end to fullback.
It's really interesting to me that the Patriots did not get Alec Pierce, because all the reports we were hearing were that he was going to get just a ridiculous amount of money, but it does not seem like they were willing to give just like a ton of money over there. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Former Lions linebacker Alex Anzalone is signing a 2-year, $17 million deal with the Buccaneers. Let's head over to the man that broke the news. Shefty, what's the deal with Anzalone? Did we know he was on the move? I thought he was the staple of the Detroit Lions defense.
Well, here's the interesting one with Alex Anzalone. Of course, he lives in Tampa. Wanted to stay in Tampa, but it's a situation where the Jets were interested, the Giants.
What is that background? Like, what in the world is that background that Schefter has on? Like, I genuinely have no idea what's happening right now with Schefter. That's ridiculous.
Are interested, but he didn't want to leave Tampa Bay, and ultimately he gets a deal done with the Buccaneers. They give him the money to make it worth his while to stay in Tampa, which was his preference, and obviously everybody else now needs to regroup at the linebacker position, which you saw the Jets do. The Jets have been busy here getting DeMario Davis, Joseph Asai, and Minkah Fitzpatrick today.
Anzalone on the move. He's gone. I love to know how that convo goes with his agent. Hey, we got a couple places here to pay. You see my house? I like my house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Bay, we can get you a Bay somewhere. Nope. I like my house here. Okay, I would like to stay right here in Tampa Bay. They're able to get a deal done. Good for him. Go ahead, Tone.
No, I just say the Bucks have been very active so far since noon. They brought back K. Dotton. They get Anzalone. They get Ken Gainwell. I think I'm missing one too. So the Bucks so far have already done 3 or 4 deals, and it's only been an hour and 22 minutes.
And that's all with Mike Evans just kind of looming over top this. He returned to the Bucks. Let's head over to the free agency fun zone. Schrags, you kind of been on the Mike Evans watch since the beginning. All these moves are telling you they don't have money for Mike, or are all these moves saying maybe they do bring back Mike?
So what I'm hearing about Mike Evans is that he is probably asking for $27 to $28 million per year. That is a ridiculous amount of money for somebody that is as old as him. But yeah, he's asking for like $28 million. So let's see what Schrager says, but that's what I heard.
Let me make this clear. The Buccaneers are desperate to bring back Mike Evans. They love Mike Evans. They want Mike Evans to go wire to wire in his career. This will be a Mike Evans decision if he wants to leave. And the feeling around the league is that Mike Evans is going to have a market. He has a market, and that this might be the time he gets off the bus and he actually leaves Tampa Bay to finish his career elsewhere. We will see where it all goes down, but Tampa Bay has.
Look, I told y'all last year what we saw with Mike Evans at the end. Remember, the Bucs lost like 6 of their. They missed out on that. They missed out on essentially having, making the playoffs. And so I don't think it looked to me like that frustration. It wasn't the Carolina game. It was the game right before Carolina. It might have been week 15 or 16. He looked pissed as hell. So I think that, Mike Evans is one of the most loyal people in anybody in the NFL. I think he's done in Tampa. I mean, there's a real chance he's going to go. I think the Patriots would probably want to sign him. Drake May needs a big time receiver. So we'll see.
Made several efforts to keep him. They love him. And you could tell the story of this. Jason Light, the GM of the Buccaneers, his first ever draft pick in that loaded draft was Mike Evans, and the families are even that close. So this is family to the Buccaneers. They would hate to lose Mike Evans, but it sounds like after all the years and all the work he's put in, he might be looking to explore and find another home. And now I think it might be a surprise where he goes too. We should know in the next couple of hours. I thought it was going to be in the first hour and a half. We will see. But Mike Evans, one of the biggest names, a future Hall of Famer, is going to likely be with a new team.
Dan Orlovsky said it, Rams. Isn't that what you said, Dan? You know what you said, Dan?
Yeah, my head goes to the Rams. My head goes to Buffalo. Even with the addition of DJ Moore, I think if financial would be tough, I go Baltimore with Lamar. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston gets into the conversation.
He's from Houston, Texas.
He's from Houston, obviously.
So Cody, who I think his Substack is called Daft on Drafts or something like that, he said that when Mike Evans a couple of years ago was considering whether to go or not, he would either stay in Tampa or he would go back to Texas. Because remember, Mike Evans played as a tight end for Texas A&M. So he played as a tight end for Texas A&M. And so his family's back home in Texas. So I think it's either going to be the Texans, the Cowboys. I mean, I guess if the Patriots offer him a ridiculous amount of money, like maybe, but I just don't see him. I mean, he's been playing in like warm temperatures his whole life. I have a hard time with him just being like, yeah, let me go up to New England. Maybe if he wants to win a Super Bowl and the fact that New England was just there, but like, yeah, that's my take on that.
Texas A&M with his college background. Mike isn't what he was 3, 4, 5, 6 years. He's still awesome. He's still one-on-one, an absolute problem in one-on-one coverage. You guys watch these clips. Mike's not getting wide open separation-wise, but every single time it seems like Mike finds a way to come down with the football. But to Peter's point, maybe a surprise team. If I'm Mike and I'm going to take that jump to leave the place that I've been at forever, it should be for a 1, quarterback that's a stud. 2, we got a chance to win the whole thing, a legit chance to win the whole thing. That's why I say Buffalo.
All right, just real quick. This happened about 2 or 3 minutes ago. It looks like the Bears are signing Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace. It looks like they're signing Kobe Bryant, which was one of the. I thought that he was one of the best like secondary guys. So the Bears continue to add to that secondary by getting Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks. So once again, the Seahawks have lost Kobe Bryant now. The Seahawks have lost K9. He went to the Chiefs. So it's going to be interesting who they're going to want to sign in terms of going forward. All right, let's go back to. I got too many tabs open, y'all. Let's go back to this.
I mean, you're saying surprise team, and now we're rattling off.
Yeah, everybody in the league would love to have
the
him.
Chiefs, the Rams, Buffalo,
Yeah,
Colts.
4 or 5 teams. I didn't say the Colts.
Contenders.
Why didn't you say the Colts? What's that all about?
I just didn't say the Colts.
Contenders, yeah.
Yeah, well, we got Alec Pierce, so don't worry about that. Highest paid ever. Maybe Mike Evans can learn a little something.
Yeah, and you already lost Pittman.
Maybe he can learn a little something. Okay, I'll tell you what, Pittman gone is certainly, which brings in room for Mike Evans to kind of come in here. Has the surprise team, been said yet, Shrakes?
No. And I don't want to put it out there because if it doesn't happen, it looks good. But there's a team that's laying in the weeds that has not been mentioned or attached to him yet that might be a snake in the
Can I
grass,
throw
if
it
you
out
will.
there?
Yeah.
49ers?
Well, it's kind of been.
That's been intimated.
Yeah, it's already been talked about.
I think the 49ers are going to make, I said this earlier, I think the 49ers are going to make a play for Dobbs from Green Bay. Yeah, I mean, it's the worst kept secret in the NFL that Dobbs is not re-signing with the 49ers. That Dobbs is not re-signing with Green Bay, and that if the 49ers don't get him, they have to go get somebody else. Maybe Omar Cooper Jr. at the end of the first round, but Omar's getting so much traction in the media, like he might go higher than that. So we'll see.
We were talking already though, so you couldn't hear us say it. All right, we appreciate.
Oh, okay.
The fifth best to the first best, like that. But baby, you got a 1 year, 2 year window. You have to hit this with Lamar healthy now. You do not get a long-term runway on getting this right.
The almost equally interesting to me was it being reported as Max Crosby is rejoining.
Y'all should go watch anything Mina does. Y'all should actually just consume. She's phenomenal. She's really, really good. She's also very, very funny. She also has a podcast on pop culture for those of you that are into pop culture, but Mina to me is 10 out of 10. Probably the best hire. Probably the best hire that ESPN has made in terms of actually somebody that provides really good analysis for the National Football League.
The Ravens and Nnamdi Madubuike is coming back because,
frankly,
I wasn't sure, right? Like the injury news with Madubuike, who's big part of why the Ravens were so dismal rushing the passer last year, bad, bottom 5 in every metric, was that they lost their best pass rusher at the beginning of the season, the guy who they paid the money to in Madubuike, and he was like a neck injury. It was really one of those things where you didn't really know if he's back.
Nate Tice is joining The Athletic, and y'all know how I feel about Nate. So why don't we talk a little bit about Nate and see what he's saying? He just joined The Athletic stream.
It's in one place.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone.
In Indianapolis. So the Pittman trade following that signing makes a lot more sense too. And actually it's kind of interesting for what the Steelers need as well. Even though
why do you think that? What about that fit is compelling to you?
Because I know, if you watch last year, it was a travesty. The last 2 years, really, even before Rodgers was there, it was a travesty when their number one receiver was out. So when Pickens was hurt, it was like, oh, this offense came into function. Then DK Metcalf is suspended / hurt, and it becomes a travesty as well. And I've been trying to figure out what kind of receiver to pair with DK because he's such a unique type of guy, but they needed another body in there. And now they get a guy that's actually, a strong yak guy. He's not going to be the twitchy quickness that I thought that they might go after. But now it also opens up their first round pick, as opposed to, gotta go receiver here. And also they're in a weird spot because this receiver class is good, but also a lot of flavors they can go for. I just think Pittman, even if in a perfect world, he's kind of a high end 3 in the pass catching attack, I do think he opens up opportunities for other.
I never know what the Steelers are doing in the draft. I never know what the Steelers are doing when it comes to their wide receivers, because it feels like they are always looking to upgrade their wide receiver room, but never the right way, right? It's never you get George Pickens and you trade him away. You get Deontay Johnson and you trade him away. You go out I never fully understand. I never fully understand what's happening. My wife is being very kind and just left me a comment. Do the Steelers know what they are doing in the draft? We'll see, but they normally don't. They normally don't know what's going in the draft. So last year they got really heavy in the trenches. They did a lot in terms of who was going to be in the offensive and defensive line. So I don't know. I don't really trust the Steelers to do what they're supposed to do just because they're they're just the Steelers. But we'll see what happens.
Pass catchers. So no matter how they want to go, I like that move for the Steelers, even if it's kind of a minor one. But yeah, that's the Pierce fallout, I guess. But going back to
Speaking of somewhat minor moves, I love this one. When it comes to play style, team fit, Cade Mays going to the Detroit Lions. I believe it's 3 years, $25 million a year. I can't remember exactly where I saw that, but I think those are the numbers that I saw. So Aaron Wilson, 3 years, $25 million, 14 guaranteed for Cade Mays. It's kind of honestly a little bit less.
Cade Mays was the center for the Carolina Panthers, and there was all kinds of chat all week long about whether he was going to stay or not. We thought that he was going to be getting $10 million a year. 3 years, $25 million is not that much for the center market. People were getting 10, 11, $12 million per year. So I don't, that's interesting. The Panthers must have a backup plan because that's interesting.
Than I thought he might get. Given Sean Ryan made $11 million. He's an imperfect player. Again, we only saw him for less than a full year as a starter, but you can get intrigued by the power, even if there are some imperfections there. And I think stylistically, what the Lions had with Graham Glasgow last year, and now putting a guy like Cade Mays in there, it's one of my favorite things in free agency is seeing the team just overcorrecting with vigor. And I think that's exactly what this feels like for the Lions.
And not even do that, when they traded David Montgomery, they were like, throw in Juice Scruggs. He can snap the football. Just throw him in there. Throw him in there. And so it was like, never. They truly were like, never again. Never again. Even shoot, with your Bears going for Bradbury, who I've been trying to tell people, he's like, he's average at best, guys. But it's like they're trying to go to never again. We went a decade without having a center. So I think that, and then they have 9 months where they actually answer that, and then they go with Bradbury to answer it again.
Yeah. Keep twisting that knife. It feels great.
I'm trying to. I know. I think I got a third twist in there. No, Mays, and this makes sense too, even scheme wise. This is actually, I feel like, a fair deal. I was actually a little worried that he would get that kind of. McGovern. Actually, I thought McGovern got a little underpaid. He gave the Bills a little bit of a hometown discount. I thought we could got in the open market, which I think has been reported as well. But I was kind of cautious with Mays because, again, you're kind of spending on the half season or whatever we want to call it. But he can start, and he was
Nate Tice is right about that, and that's why the Panthers, I think, wanted to be really careful with not giving him too much. So yeah, I'm once again, I thought he was going to be getting 10, 11, $12 million. 8 years, $24, $25 million is not bad at all. That is not a bad deal whatsoever.
Pretty good when he had to go in there, and he has size. He's not going to be for everybody. Again, like a zone heavy scheme is not going to be great for. But what the Lions want to do, at you runs, physical play action, this fits great. This makes total sense because, again, they're trying to make sure they have enough bodies on their interior because that was such a crippling thing. The Lions' run game was explosive, but their run efficiency dropped off a cliff last year. It was bottom 10, if I remember correctly. I think it was 21st, 22nd or so. So that's what they're trying to get to, is more they can get those 4 or 5 yard gains again, along with the 40, 50 yard Jahmyr Gibbs big plays.
Along that line, I just love the roller coaster the Lions have been on since Frank Ragnow initially retired, including trying to get him back in the middle of the season. And now signing.
Wow, I forgot that happened.
Yeah,
I still think the Lions are probably going to get an offensive lineman, and that they have to get they have to solve the tackle position. And if you think about what made the Lions good, if you think about what made the Lions so successful a few years ago, it's the fact that they went all in on the offensive line. They had one of the best. I think PFF 2-3 years ago said they had the best offensive line in football. And that's why their running game was so successful. And I think if you're the coach and if you're that organization, what you want to do is you want to say, we're going to go back to what made us so good. We're going to go back to running the ball on people. We're going to go back to being physical. Every player that they get has a stereotype of being tough, physical. And you can say, well, in the National Football League, everybody does that, right? In the National Football League, there's players that you just have grit and endurance and all of this kind of stuff. So I think that that's probably what the Lions are going to do in the draft, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
grade 7 hamstring tear or whatever it was.
They've been like, as soon as he was gone, they were like, we don't like this. We hate this. Please, anything.
Nothing makes a team tilt more than a surprise retirement of a very important player.
Yeah.
It's just something that sends you into a tizzy for as long as you until you get a real solution to it. And obviously it's hard to find one when it happens midstream and you don't have a plan of succession. So the fact that even them wanting to put Ratledge there during training camp is just like, we need to figure it out. We need to figure out some way. And then
Frank made everything so easy. Bring back Frank.
This being the solution here.
I like it.
Nothing else really rolling in immediately here. Nate, I'm curious, just as you look back at everything else that's happened today, you're just most.
What pun do you love? What are you talking about?
Notable moves so far, the things that you found that were either piqued your interest the most or you found most compelling. What's at front of mind for you right now as you're sorting through the first day so far?
Oh, you mean Reggie Gilliam going to the Patriots? No,
I would say we had as soon as it happened.
I would say Malik Willis going to the Dolphins. It's more like, okay, fine. All right. It's just more of just like that it happened. Like the initial thought, the initial kind of.
I think the Malik to Miami thing obviously it makes all the sense in the world, right? You've got a GM and you've got a coach that comes from Green Bay. There's familiarity there. Like that, to me, that's why the Green Bay thing works, right? It's the thing that makes the most sense. And so, they need a quarterback. They just released Tua. Tua might sign with Atlanta, which I, as a Panthers guy, love. Go to Atlanta and suck it up in Atlanta, please. Go to Atlanta and suck it up for Atlanta. I'm very, very, very fine with that. I'm very fine with, and who knows, if you're Stefanski, if you're the coach of the Falcons, what are you at? Do you just need a 1-year rental and you think that you can run an offense with Tua? Look, the thing with Stefanski and their offenses, is that they like to give the ball to tight ends, number one. And number two, on top of that, they like to run the ball. Look at fantasy football, tight end production. They're always top 5. So I think they're going to be running a lot of heavy personnel, 12, 13 personnel, multiple tight ends on the line. And they're going to run the ball, and they're going to do a lot of what the Seahawks did this year, right? They're just going to run out of heavy personnel, and they're going to throw out of heavy personnel. So yeah, that's pretty interesting to me. Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs is legendary. I think the Chiefs need an upgrade on Pacheco and Hunt. I think the Chiefs are best when they are running the ball. I think the Chiefs realized last year and the year before the amount of pressure that they put on Patrick that led to his injury. Patrick was playing just phenomenal, but yeah, I very much like that. Now, I think he got a 3-year, $45 million a year. That's $15 million per year, if my math is correct. So yeah, I think that's a lot, but the Chiefs need something. And I think if the Chiefs had their way, they probably want Jeremiah Love at 9, but everything that we're hearing, says that's not going to happen.
Rumor where everyone, the Occam's razor signing kind of happened, and it was almost more of a relief because the Cardinals' interest was kind of like, what are you guys doing down there? At least with Miami, it's like, hey, this is a dart throw. This team is it's more or less a full-blown rebuild. And at least Willis is exciting, can create some plays. They have enough there that they can be functional on offense. Do I think he's an amazing fit? And you're grading to the flash of what, 30 dropbacks that he's had? Yeah. But at least he, in this market, again, we're looking at a quarterback market, and I'm already peeking at next year's draft class. It's not the worst dart throw if you get caught in no man's land. When I think there's some teams clearly.
Is this the year where we watch all the defensive players and also, wait, what? Is this the year where we're all watch defensive players and also O-line? Also, do O-line rookies that are drafted play their position the first year? Ooh, good question, Rebecca. It depends. If you are drafted, if you're an offensive lineman that's drafted in the first 2 rounds, you are probably going to get a lot of snaps and you are probably going to start. I think what happens after that is like for example, the Eagles do this. They draft O-linemen in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Those guys aren't starting the first year. Those guys are developmental guys. So they're what's called like depth pieces. So those are guys that probably are more depth pieces as it goes on. Okay.
Hopping on that tank. I'm looking at you, New York. And I think that they really are like, so it's gonna be hard to only have 2, 3, 4 wins. That's gonna be, I mean, look at the race to the bottom this year. And so I think with the Dolphins, it was more of just like, okay, I'm glad this happened. As far
I still can't believe that Panthers signed Jaden Phillips. I think Dan Morgan essentially said, we're not getting outbid by anybody. Remember the Panthers, the Ravens, and one other team had the least amount of sacks last year. Like their sack total was garbage. So I think Dan Morgan said, we're going to go get our guy. Remember, for those of you that are like, why Jaden Phillips over somebody like Owe from the Chargers, or why Jaden Phillips and somebody like somebody else, the reason that's there is familiarity. Evero and the Philadelphia defensive system are very similar. They run a 3-4, not a 4-3, and there's just a lot of familiarity. So I think, and The Athletic, if y'all read The Athletic, the best like 150 by Daniel Popper, the best 150 free agents, Jaden Phillips was the number 2 guy. Now, I'm not saying like Daniel Popper's article is like the Bible when it comes to free agency. Like he's a human just like the rest of us are. But there was a lot of interest in Jaden Phillips, like a lot of interest in Jaden Phillips. So I love it. I love that signing.
As far as the sense that it makes the most sense with the tie-ins for the Packers guys. Also, it's just one of those, what else could they do? Like maybe trade for Davis Mills. That was out there.
We got news.
Slowick. But again,
we got news.
Kind of variations of the same answer.
God, how do I do this?
And it's not.
All right, let me change. We got news. It is looking like Tyler Linderbaum, who was the most I think sought after center. There were reports that he didn't really want to go back to Baltimore. He is signing. Hold on. I should probably learn how to do this better. Okay. Work in progress. He is signing. He has reached an agreement today on a record deal with the Raiders, who are awarding him with a 3-year, $81 million that includes $60 million guaranteed. So PFF, when I was reading this, it looked like he was going to potentially get maybe 22, maybe 23 million. What is the math? What is 81 divided by 3? I am not that good at math. That is $27 million a year. Good God. We thought that he was going to get like $27 million. Holy am I allowed to cuss on YouTube? That is ridiculous. Oh my God. That is insane. Oh. Will a center do that much difference for a Raiders team? Well, yes. The reason it's a yes is Linderbaum is the best center available. And if you remember, which I don't know what your draft knowledge is from last year, but Ashton Genty went to the Raiders, and I think he went 8 or 7 or 6. I can't remember how high he went. But there was a lot of concern that if you're going to draft a running back, you have to have a plan for him. And that offensive line was garbage. So you want I think this is all a plan for that offensive line to get more solidified, essentially. But yeah, that's wild. I mean, that is absolutely, I was not expecting that. That is bonkers. All right, let's go back to share this tab instead.
Garbage team. you know, and I mean, honestly, let's be honest what the Raiders are. So I think that I love this too in the sense of, and I've said this ad nauseum, but it's just you have a vet center with a young quarterback. I always love that, and I love that transition to help out a young guy. Helps with the state income tax as well. Going to Nevada, I enjoy that as well. But no, I do think that it's I mean, they have to do this, and I don't know. The Raiders.
Nevada has no income tax. Wow, look at that. I'm going to be in Vegas in a couple weeks.
This offseason could be just transformative for them. Not only just Mendoza and Kubiak and all that, but just little moves. But this is a big move, but little moves as well. You know, if they get one more receiver, I saw that they might be on the Dobbs market, which I think would be perfect for them. Like, who else are they going to pay? You know, so like, yeah, Shaheed might be another speed guy. I still think hat on a hat with Trey Tucker, but that's just me. No, but also McGovern deal looks amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say McGovern made half. It's literally half what Linderbaum got paid. Wow. I mean, that's I understand how it happens because again, it's maybe a little bit of a hometown discount, whatever. But the idea that Linderbaum's getting 27 and McGovern gets 13, you got to feel pretty good about that if you're the Bills. My God.
Yes. I know the centers. It's funny. We talk about quarterbacks so much, but there's so many open center spots, and this draft is okay center wise. You know, there's a couple day 2 guys, but it's kind of funny. Like that's why
it's interesting that Brugler is saying that it's interesting that Tice is saying this is a potentially like an okay. I'm changing the layout because I have ADHD and sometimes I get bored of the same layout. So we're trying this new layout for a second. I might change it back. But it's interesting that Tice says that that he does not think it's a good center because Brugler thinks that this is a really, really good center draft for like day 3 guys. So people between the 3rd and the 4th round, he thinks there's a few really good centers that are going to, that are gonna really be kind of like that are gonna be good essentially for, that are gonna be good for this. So I actually think. Like I mean, the Panthers are either going to have to be okay with their backup center or they're going to have to draft a center. And they might be okay with their backup center. So like, we'll have to see what happens.
Cade Mays is getting that, and I think again, the McGovern deal is just like so great now when you look at this, but they're paying a premium for it, but this offensive line needs it. It provides a boost effect for everybody. Now you don't need JPJ. There's 2 JPJs now, so that's sorry. But you don't need him because he's all over the place too. But I don't know, a boost effect that's kind of maybe solidify your offensive line, and this offensive system anyways is going to help that out anyways. Having competent coaching there, so I don't know. I'm kind of the defense is going to needs a lot of help, but the offense could be pretty functional like pretty early on.
We're digging Genty's reputation out of the mud starting today.
That was a joke. I hope you know that was a joke. Nate, sincerely.
I mean, it's true. If you're the Raiders, I'm going to have to ban my wife from this live because she's making very ridiculous comments. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not getting a modeling contract. That's not my forte in life. What was I saying? Oh, the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders had to do something, right? Like the Raiders, to me, is it an overpay for Linderbaum? Probably. Like it's a straight up overpay. But $27 million a year. There's some really good players still out. What is Devin Lloyd going to re-sign with the Jaguars? Like there's still a lot of good players out. So we're going to have to see what happens.
We appreciate the time, buddy. I know you got a lot going on this week. Always good to talk to you. We'll do it again very soon.
Thanks, guys. Great to see everyone.
DK, usually when a lot of the contracts come across, we know who the agent is based on
functional, raise the floor of it to help your young quarterback. Also, I mean, I said it jokingly a minute ago, but in a very real sense, make your very good running back look like he was worth that type of draft pick. I mean, it is a lot of money to pay, but like what Nate said, what else are you going to spend the money on? And I think you're maximizing several other big spots by spending a lot of money at that position. So I like that more for the Raiders than I might have for a few other teams.
For whatever reason in my mind, I keep doing Raiders and Ravens. I'm trying to type Raiders over the cap into my Google, and I'm doing the Raiders. $111 million in cap space this year. That's without the Geno. That's with Geno still on the roster, and so you're looking at $120 million after they cut Geno. In 2027, DK, Jesus Christ, I keep doing this. In 2027, the Raiders, $249 million in 2027, cap space is a
I think it's going to be fine.
And so
they're like, they need to get above the cap or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. They need to hit the floor. So maybe this gets them there a little bit faster. But even when you consider all of those factors, oh man, this is hilarious. So we talked about this with the Dolphins, how the Dolphins only have one player making at least 15.
All right, we're gonna go to a new stream and see what we got. Well, actually, let me do this real quick. Let me share this instead, and let's go through Twitter and just kind of see what people are saying, and then we'll go back. But once again, Caden Mays is probably going to sign with the Lions. That's what everybody's saying. So the Panthers lose out on their center. Greg, who is really good for the Bucks, says, I'm hearing that teams have offered Mike Evans north of $27 million per year. That's insane. Not sure Bucks would be willing to match that. Greg is very, very good at being in the know for Tampa, so I would follow that. The Carolina Panthers had a total of 82 errors last season. Jalen Phillips had 60. I mean, I agree. I think it's going to be, once again, Travis Kelce's returning to the Chiefs, their 14th season. Panthers signed the second best pass rusher available considering age, in my opinion. Only one better was Greener, which would be by trade. Yeah, I agree with all of that. Yeah. What else? Dan Morgan really out here fixing what Fitter got us through. Love to see the transformation from both lines since Dan started. That's true. It's very, very true. Oh man. That's crazy. That's just it's crazy. I put a question down here. What free agent do you want your team to sign? So is there a specific free agent that y'all want your team to sign? Just interesting. Also, can we talk about this narrative, like no more excuses for Lamar? Dan Orlovsky said that today. Like, I'm so tired of these guys. Oh, yeah, Lamar's got to win it this year. If Lamar doesn't win it this year, then he's a failure. Like, Dan, shut up. I used to like Dan Orlovsky, and now I just feel like Dan just says shit just to say it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Do you say that about Josh Allen? Do you say that about, like, anybody else? It's just, to me, it's... I'm just tired of Dan just saying garbage like that. Let me see if I can find a clip of where he said this, because I think Lamar even responded to Dan saying this ridiculous thing. Let me see if I can find. Or did he delete it? All right, here we go. Oh, I gotta share. Am I sharing it? Hold on.
Cowboys need to be the 2022 Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so the Cowboys own the 12th and the...
Dan, get in here.
The Cowboys need to be the 2022 Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, so the Cowboys own the 12th and the 20th pick in the NFL draft. In 22, the Chiefs took Trent McDuffie, who just signed for $120+ million, and George Karlaftis. So the Cowboys don't have to be overly aggressive in free agency. I agree. Alex Anzalone at linebacker, away at defensive end. Like, I like the fact that they were entertaining Max Crosby, Giving up 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby would have been hysterical since they acquired 2 first-round picks for trading Micah Parsons. So, like, I like the fact that they were in it, but while not being overly aggressive, I do think we've minimized the impact of this trade for Baltimore, though, Greeny. And I know we're talking about Dallas right now, but the timing of this trade is minimized. This is a Hall of Fame defensive end.
Yep.
Hall of Fame going to an organization that has been on the.
I mean, I do agree with that. He is a Hall of Fame. Like I agree. I totally agree with that. But keep watching.
The precipice over the last 5 years of winning a Super Bowl. They are now in a first-year regime going all in Baltimore. And I love Lamar. There ain't no more excuses now.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? There's no more excuses for Lamar. Who's making excuses for Lamar? Nobody makes excuses for Lamar. You're the only one that it feels like has a vendetta for Lamar because you're obsessed with Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. By the way, I've been on record, and I get burned for this on TikTok. I've been on record in saying that Josh Allen is my number one guy. So I love Josh Allen. I think he's the best outside of maybe Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in football. But this idea that the media makes excuses for Lamar is nothing but crap. I'll be nice. It's nothing but crap. It's this narrative has to stop.
This is all in. The coach, the offense, you got a game wrecker on defense. This is now Baltimore and an ownership group going, you got to go get it done, Lamar. We can't sit around and watch Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen find ways in the playoffs to play high-level football. And so while this trade happens on Friday night and it's minimized, this is all in. This is a desperation move in an organization that's saying, we are on the back end of this window with this MVP quarterback, and we've got to find a way to get it.
So he says that, and then Lamar says, let me make sure I'm sharing this, that Lamar says, man, there have never been more excuses for Lamar, though. Like, essentially calling him out and saying, like, this is ridiculous. And then Dan says, you're right. Not needed, though. Go get you one. It's just what a ridiculous thing to say if you're Dan Orlovsky. That's all I have to say. Okay, we've got some more breaking news, so let me break it for y'all. Breaking news. It looks like Travis Etienne is signing with the Saints. Also, Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans. So Wan'Dale Robinson to the Titans, back with Brian Daboll. That was reported. The Titans are signing Etienne. So Etienne and Wan'Dale Robinson, they're both going to different teams. So that's pretty interesting. All of the reports were that Wan'Dale were going. I like this for Cam Ward, but I still think Cam needs an X receiver, and Wan'Dale Robinson is not an X receiver. So I still want somebody else for him, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in terms of what that looks like. I just think that there's better options. Cam needs an X. Cam needs an X receiver. Cam needs a guy that is just going to that's going to do some good things. And I don't know that. I mean, I think Wan'Dale is the start of that. I think Wan'Dale is going to be really good for that, but I still think that there's potentially more that can happen. I think there's still more in terms of what can happen. So anyways, those are my thoughts on that. Let's see what PFF is saying. PFF. Oh, they stopped their stream. So we got to go to a new stream. I guess we could go back to let's see the coverage on Alec Pierce.
Beating the buzzer, that's easy. But stress sweating on live TV, that stinks.
Secret has 3 times the sweat protection versus ordinary antiperspirant.
Ladies and gentlemen, the belle of the ball was what he was named. A man who is a second-round draft pick out of Cincinnati to the Indianapolis Colts. A wide receiver that everybody wanted. Wow, this guy can take the top off a defense in this modern world where there's 2 shell coverage and everybody's keeping everything in front. Is anybody going to be able to be explosive? Is anybody going to be able to go deep? Well, there was one man that did that this past season at a rapid rate. Alec Pierce. Where will he go? Well, he's staying with the Colts. Wow. Let's head over Adam Schefter. How the hell did this come to be, Shefty? And what do we know about the Alec Pierce Indianapolis Colts deal that I think is 116 over 4 years, Shefty?
Is that what it is, Pat? 106. So again, just to confirm, because you're the insider here and you're a guy.
Okay.
The deal is done. I want to make sure.
Yes, the deal.
For those who don't know, Pat, played in Indy, so he sometimes gets info and data, so that's hilarious.
Deal is done, 116 over 4. I'm being told he's the highest paid free agent wide receiver in NFL history. Wow. Chris Ballard, Carly Ursay opened up the checkbook. Now, the deal was done. I believe this is how the game is played, by the way. Deal is done by Mike Swenson and C.J. LeBoy, who also helped facilitate the Max Crosby trade to Baltimore. You know what Max and or Mike and C.J. are saying is, hey, we're in this thing. We're doing this thing. Alec Pierce stays in Indianapolis. D-Butt, huge news for the Colts. Now, Daniel Jones, potentially our quarterback. They put the transition tag on him last week, not the franchise tag. Other teams can still sign him and make the Colts match an offer sheet. Albert Breer was reporting this weekend that the Colts offered him the Sam Darnold deal, which would be 3 years, $100 million, which is about 33 per. And then allegedly his team said, we're looking for 50 of them things a year. Now, whatever he can get, we certainly want him to get. Play with a broken leg and an Achilles tear.
Yeah, so by all accounts, Alec Pierce took less money to stay. Like, by all accounts, Alec Pierce was offered more by the Eagles, was offered more by the Patriots, was offered more by pretty much anybody. And so he chooses to stay, which I think says a lot about the kind, he wanted to stay in Indy, but he wanted to get paid. I still think $28 million a year, people are going to see that. And that's what Brandon Ayuk got last year. I mean, what Brandon Ayuk got a couple of years ago. But look, these numbers for the wide receiver market is going to continue to increase. It's just going to happen because the salary cap keeps going up. So, I mean, in 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised. And oh my God, what just came through notifications? 4 years, $52 million for ETN. What is happening? What is 52 divided by 4, by the way? $13 million a year for Travis Etienne. That's a bit of an overpay. You know what this tells me too? I think what this tells everybody is that the Saints and the Chiefs do not think that Jeremiah Love is going to get to them. That's what this tells me. Nobody thinks that Travis Etienne is going to last. No one thinks that Travis Etienne is going to last to Chiefs or the Saints. I mean, it's looking like he's going to go 4 to Tennessee. That's what it's looking like to me. Because that is a $13 million for Etienne to me feels like an overpay. But who knows? What do I know? I'm just a random guy on YouTube just talking about this stuff.
Last year led us to 8-2, but Alec Pierce said if Daniel Jones is the quarterback, that'll certainly make me want to come back. They had magic together, D-Bud.
Yeah, he's a game changer. Since he's come in the league, he's been a big play waiting to happen, an explosive guy. And when you look at that B-roll, you look at those highlights, a ton of his highlights, his biggest plays, his best plays, come against the best players and the best defenses in the league. So that's a guy that you want to keep in your building. Obviously, Chris Ballard and the Colts and the Ursays, they felt that way as well. This is a big signing, a big job. I know Conman probably wanted him in New England. Everybody wanted him if you want an explosive wide receiver. He changed the game. Defensively, that free safety. If he's in the middle of the field, you better lean the 14 side. If you're split safety, you better be aware of where 14 is. So it's a big-time signing by the Indianapolis Colts.
Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, is the man who just signed the largest free agent wide receiver deal in NFL history. Wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, Alec Pierce.
Let's go. What up, yo? Yo, appreciate you guys having me.
Thought for sure you were gone, dude. We all did. We all did. We're so happy that you're back. Can you tell me a little bit about the process and kind of where your brain went through this all as they transition tag Daniel Jones, which means they couldn't do anything to you. You set to hit the market. How did kind of the roads lead back here to Indy? We're obviously incredibly pumped about it, brother.
Yeah. No, I think, with the whole tag thing, I thought initially, and my agents thought initially that we were going to be getting some type of, franchise tag or whatnot. And they were going to be getting the deal done with Daniel, and things kind of went that way for Daniel. So then they ended up having to use a tag. So then it kind of opened it up like, oh, wow, like we're going to be the number one free agent receiver out here. So then those opportunities started flooding in. But I knew where my heart was. I knew, I love the city of Indianapolis. I just seeing where we were at last year, early in the year, like rolling, like I truly believe we were the number one team in the NFL. And just obviously didn't finish out the season like we should have, but I think we get back to where we were. I believe in Daniel. I know they're going to get his deal done and lock him down. And I think we can be special.
Okay, let's talk about being special, because you're right. 8-2, number one team in the league. We had as the number one headline coming out of every single NFL weekend where the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl. That's how damn dominant you guys looked. Defensive side looked good. Offense looked good. Special teams looked good. A litany of injuries happened. Then obviously down the stretch, lose 7 straight. What was the messaging?
It's also crazy that Alex Pierce can go from being, what was Alex Pierce? Like just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's like a guy that maybe you could see paying $10 million a year. $28 million a year for a white guy as a wide receiver. Just saying. White guys are back. That's all I got to say. I actually heard Bill Simmons talk about this, or maybe it was Russillo, and they said white guys are back in the NFL. Just hilarious. Just hilarious stuff. The Saints are signing Bills guard David Edwards, source says. So that just came through, in case y'all were wondering. Okay, let's keep watching the interview.
From the team to you about like, hey, we can't go out like that. Was that ever talked about? Was that something you thought about? And why do you think this team still has the capability to go on and win the whole damn thing?
You want to file free? Hit it.
My voice, but I'm in vacation mode, guys. I'm going to Naples tomorrow with my family. I'm having a beer at 2:00 and talking about NFL free agency. I'm living the life over here, but we're gonna keep going. Again, sorry for kind of ignoring the chat for now. We'll get there with you guys. I really appreciate it. We're up to, I'm seeing 2,300 viewers, and I don't know how many of that is Twitter versus YouTube. This is my first time doing Twitter live stream, but it's a ton of fun. So anyway, Draymond Jones goes to the New England Patriots. 3 years, $39 million a year. Was just praising him in the AFC North Studs and Duds episode. He was a very pleasant surprise. That was a take I was kind of wrong about, I think.
Makings of a really good offensive line here. I would have, I talked a lot in February and January about guard for the Saints, and I got a lot of we'll be fine, right? Cesar Ruiz, Dylan Radins, we've got guys, it's okay, they are where they are at the line. So to me, this is a team that had an above average line deciding, hey, we're really going to put our chips in the middle. We're going to try to be a top 10 and top 8 line, and then be able to run the football more dominantly. When you think about where Kellen Moore came from, you think about where, TJ Paginetti is their run game coordinator there. They both came from Philly, and they came from that 2024 season of we can get to whatever we want because our running game is just so fear-inducing. And so you go and you add Etienne, you go and you add David Edwards to rebuild a facsimile of that. And so I'm impressed by the investment. I'm very curious to see what the Edwards contract is, because we haven't seen a lot right now in the guard market, and the guard market is one that I think the league has largely been trying to figure out, because you have a lot of really good players who are on their third deals, David Edwards, Isaac Seumalo, and then you have some exciting young players with big question marks, Zion Johnson, Elijah Vera Tucker, and where exactly, who's going to make more money, whatever, because like by quality of play, Edwards should easily clear the John Simpson deal, should clear everybody else's deal. Like Edwards has been out of this world the last 2 years, but he is older relative to some of these other guys. And so this is the first big domino falling at guard. We're going to learn a lot about like the Zion deals and the ABT deals from what we see here.
Looking at right now, I mean, I think it's just important to kind of reframe what the Saints are and are going to be. You know, that we think of the Saints as this team that is cash strapped. You know, they're up against it. They have this aging roster. We are moving out of that. And I think it's just important to like keep reminding ourselves of that when you think about the multi-year outlook for this team. The Saints, as it currently stands, have $136 million in 2027 salary cap space.
Yeah.
And so they're in a position where they'll be able to spend a little bit. I mean, they're paying their quarterback, as it stands, top 40th overall pick money, and they do not have a lot of contracts, onerous contracts, that are going to be on their books heading into 2027. I mean, really the only guys they've paid that are going to be on the team next year are guys like Chase Young. Juwan Johnson's on a big deal, but there just are not a lot of big contracts left on this team. And so they're in a position where if you look at the multi-year outlook of this thing, they can throw a little bit of money around.
Yeah.
$136 million in cap space next year.
That is just not a place we are used to being with the New Orleans Saints.
That's great.
61 million total over 4 years. That's what, 12.5. That's pretty good for David Edwards. That's like the Ben Powers deal.
Do we have that already?
Yeah. Oh, it was it's 15 per year then. It's 4 for 61. Yeah.
15. So yeah. So 15 per year, which sounds right. I mean,
you're
like,
in Ben Powers, Damian Lewis
expected
territory. That's great. Yeah. I like that for the Saints quite a bit.
Ben, we're going to let you go, buddy. Sincerely appreciate the time. Always good to chat with you. I know you're busy. We'll talk to you very soon.
Go free agency. The NFL Rob Lowe cap on. I love it.
All right, before we get to our next guest here, Connor Orr, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you guys.
Freshness makes me want to be Mario. He has the confidence to fly through the galaxy.
4 years, $120 million, $80 million guaranteed. Dan Morgan, he's going all in on those big free agent signings once again.
Did he overpay?
It's a good question. You know what? We're going to jump right into it. Panthers playbook. That's Chris Lee. Dennis Cox here with you, sponsored by Wake Orthopedics. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Do you like it? Yes or no? The signing of Jalen Phillips. Do you like it? Yes or no? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We're reacting to this in real time because, Chris, we wanted to see. We wanted to see this Carolina Panthers team go heavy in on getting an edge rusher to go along with Princely Umamielen and Nick Scordon. They're betting on upside with Jalen Phillips. He has the physical tools. We know that. But we haven't fully seen the production in his career. Just 5 sacks all of last year between Philadelphia and Miami. Again, start of the year in Miami, ended up in Philadelphia. That's where he began his career, was with Miami. 8.5 sacks early in his career, had another 7-sack season, but the injuries did pile up. You're banking on upside and health, which isn't always a guarantee.
Why there's so many Jalen's in the NFL?
I think the Phillips signing is really interesting because the Panthers did not want to be outbid like they were last year with Melton Williams. Like, that's really what it was. They were not about to be like outbid. And a lot of people might say, well, this is, this past year was the first year where he finally had a lot of production. And that's true, but like, I don't know. Like, I think I would much rather they do something like this than they don't. Is it an overpay? Yes. Were the Panthers last in sacks last year? Yes. So I'm fine with it. I'm genuinely fine with it.
Just had to throw that out there. No, there's a lot that that goes along with this. This is one of those potential signings, right? And
yes.
Just to kind of look at, there were a lot of injuries you talked about before. There's the Achilles rupture, there's the ACL tear, and then I think he had a concussion towards the end of the year with Philadelphia. And so, I can't hold last year against him. You're starting off in a situation with a bad team who's always chasing the other team. And we talked about that with the Carolina Panthers. When it comes down to sack production, you're always chasing the other team who has a leading scorer. They can just run the ball. Your sack totals can go down. And then also you join another team midway through the season. You're trying to get used to their, what they have going on. A lot of times it's going to be tough to expect somebody to come out the gate, new team, 8 sacks in 8 games. How you doing? It's going to be tough to do that. So I'm not going to hold last year against him. I will have to go back and look at whenever he does play a full season, right? And he's only done that twice, 2021 and 2022.
Last year he did play 17 games.
Last year he played a full season, but with one team, right?
Yeah.
Last time he played a full season with one team, he got 8.5 sacks his rookie year, his 7 sacks his sophomore year in the NFL. So he is somebody that can have production at that particular position. I'm just wondering too, if we paid maybe just a little too much for him, or I'm going to sit back and trust Dan Morgan and the crew on this, but
I just think I think that we get to, the way that I see it is Dan Morgan should be trusted in this kind of situation. And the reason Dan Morgan should be trusted is look at the amount of money that they were willing to throw to Melton Williams. And how did that pan out? Melton Williams was phenomenal last year for the Patriots, and he would have been phenomenal for us. So I would much rather say, hey, I'm okay with giving a bunch of money to. Now, time will tell. If he gets injured again, that's a problem. But you can't really predict injuries. Once again, The Athletic had this guy as the number 2 signing for them. So I'm okay with this. I really am okay with doing something like this.
Is this just the market right now for somebody of his stature within the NFL? Is there some other knowledge that they have about him, his health, his future, things like that, to sink in 120 million, 80 million guaranteed over the next 4 years into this guy? So it's effectively at least 20 million against the cap every year for the next 4 years.
Mortgage rates have finally moved down. Today, the Loan Exchange has a 30-year fixed-rate closer loan at 5.625% rate and APR with no closing.
And we're going to have to eventually pay a quarterback, whether that's Bryce Young or somebody else. So it's just a lot to think about. And And now we're paying J.C. Horn, and we're probably going to hear some linebacker news soon in the free agent market. those are the things that I'm kind of wondering right now. However, just on the surface, if this guy can be healthy throughout the year, I really like the signing, and I feel like he would fit very well with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I think we're banking on the guy that was the 18th overall pick in 2021. Like, you're banking on that upside. So I think one thing that we have to keep in mind is when Dan Morgan makes this kind of deal, we saw him bank on upside with Tershawn Wharton, because the guys that are in their mid-20s that still have a little bit of growth, that's what he's banking on. And we wanted to see a move like this, right? We wanted to see a big splash play on defense. Guess what? You got it. Now, is it the right guy? Time will tell on that. If he has a healthy season and he gets, 9 sacks or whatever it is, okay, then it's money spent. Then it's money well spent, I guess you could say. Obviously, when you put that kind of money out for an edge rusher where it's 4 years, 120 million, 80 million guaranteed, you are paying for production.
Yes.
You are paying for production. A guy that's supposed to get.
So Next Gen Stats just tweeted this out, and I want to share it with y'all. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Yeah, so from week 5 through the end of the 2025, Jalen Phillips generated the 6th most pressures in the NFL, just behind Myles Garrett, I don't know, the Hall of Famer, and ahead of Nick Benito. Phillips led the Eagles with 34 pressures since joining the team in week 10. Look, like, Jaden Phillips is a phenomenal player. Jalen Phillips, the big knock on Jalen is that he can't, like, he keeps getting hurt. And to be quite honest, like, I get it. I get why that's a concern. But to me, I would much rather, like, I don't know. I don't mind the trade, I guess is what I'm saying. I think they had to do something. Like, they had to do something. And this is their way of saying, we're going to try to improve our edge rusher room. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Like, I really am. I think it's going to be good. So, but yeah, it's risky. You can't say it's not risky, but, like, sometimes you got to take risks. Like, sometimes you have to take risks in the National Football League. So I'm okay with some level of risk, and I think it's an okay risk, if you ask me. I think doing something like that is an okay risk. And yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Let's see. There have been no news that have come in, so we're not missing out on new news. I don't know if y'all want to listen to a little fantasy. We can listen to a little dynasty points. Hey.
Played on the extension they gave him. So he's in year 1 of an extension, so that the dead money's crazy. And you'll see teams eat the dead cap if they're not in a championship window. However, the Eagles are. I think the winning strategy should be to convince AJ Brown this is the right place for him. Doesn't mean it will happen. That's just my guess.
One more question for Brett Whitefield specifically, and we covered this on the last couple of shows. Where does Jeremiah Love sign now? Question from Adam Wallace in the chat. Jeremiah Love, we know it's not going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Where is he going to get drafted at? Should be the way we should phrase this. What is your probable landing spot? I mentioned Tennessee.
I mean, it's going to be Tennessee. I don't think he goes as high as Arizona. I mean, going as high as Arizona would be, talk about insane. Like, if he went to Arizona with all of the needs that they have, I don't love that.
Tennessee at 5. Is that sort of where the window starts? And Arizona signing Tyler Algier, we've talked about maybe 3 overall being in play. Probably maybe a little less likely now with the Connor restructure and the Algier signing. Where do you think he goes, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to start the conversation at number 2 with the Jets, even though they have Brees on the transition tag or whatever. That doesn't scare me away from that. And then I think you go from 2 to 4 to 5, and then maybe even 7 with Washington. I mean, there's plenty of landing spots still for Jeremiah Love.
Yeah,
man. If you were top 6, you have no business. I mean, top 10, you have no business drafting a running back. If you're the Jets, if you're the Titans, the Raiders.
The question was who will. I agree with you, Scott. I don't think you should ever draft a running back in the first round.
I'm just hoping. I know. I'm hoping we've learned that lesson. I'm hoping NFL cognizant has no.
No, they're going the other direction.
Other direction is right. We've seen it multiple drafts.
I mean, we've had Bijan, Gibbs, and Genty lately, and then Jeremiah Love's just as good as all those guys. So.
I will say teams that have not made a move that were speculated, Cam Scatterbo, Scott Barrett's guy, avoided the Kenneth Walker annihilation today, and they're picking 5th overall. So it's going to be another really sweaty moment potentially for Scott with his guy Scatterbo there. I'll say the Washington Commanders did not end up with Etienne or Walker, so they're sort of in prime position. And Brett, the 2 teams that I'll give a shout out to The Athletic. They do the article with which way executives think the top 10 teams are going to be drafting in the NFL draft. Everybody said 8 to New Orleans or 9 to Kansas City for Jeremiah Love. Those things are not going to happen now with the ETN and the Walker signing. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Guys, we've got to get to the Malik Willis signing as well. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, free agent domino to fall at the quarterback position is Malik Willis. Willis ends up in Miami, sort of following this pathway where all these Green Bay people are in prominent positions, including the head coach, including management in Miami. Malik Willis, widely speculated to be a Miami Dolphin, gets there, 3-year.
If you're interested in a fantasy football perspective, I think Malik has the chance. He's going to go to a team that's not very good. Like Miami is not a good team. I understand that. But he might go to a team that's not good, but like his rushing upside is going to give somebody some help.
Contract, $67 million, $45 million guaranteed here, Brett. That's not nothing. It's a pretty fun landing spot for Malik Willis. I think from a fantasy football perspective, no matter how you think the Dolphins are going to do next year, how this offense is going to be, Willis is a player that in a full-time role.
Wow. He's taking the words out of my mouth.
Could end up with 700 plus rushing yards. Am I too bullish here on the rushing production from Malik Willis in this offense?
No, I think he's probably the second best running quarterback in the league right now, if not the best. So, yeah, that's like low end of what I would expect actually.
Remember all the shit you got for putting a 1st-round grade on him, Brett?
I do. Which brings me to my point. Guess, what is that? What do I always say, Scott? I'm not ever wrong. Sometimes
you're never wrong. You're just early, Brett. You're never wrong.
You're just early. Oh my God!
So I'm going to say, I love this and hate this from a fantasy perspective. I hate this for.
Oh my God, Mike Evans. Mike Evans just signed a 3-year deal with the 49ers. Holy moly. So yeah, news. Mike Evans is signing a 3-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me share this. That is insane. That is insane. Mike Evans is signing a 3-year deal. Mike Evans is signing a 3-year deal with the 49ers. That's crazy. First and foremost, Mike Evans has played his whole career. Mike Evans has played his whole career with the Buccaneers, and he is gone. He is gone. So let me make sure y'all are seeing this. After from Buccaneers 6-time Pro Bowl, Mike Evans is expected to sign a 3-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. He goes all the way from Tampa Bay to the opposite side of the country and signs with the Niners. That's nuts. That's nuts. Oh, wow. I mean, the Niners need, I think the Niners need a guy like him. I'm with that, but like paying that amount of money for a guy that's that old is a move, man. Gosh, that is a move. Statement on we've got a big statement. Statement on Mike Evans' decision to depart Tampa from his agents Derek Gilmore. Once again, let me make sure that I'm sharing the right thing. After 12 remarkable seasons in Tampa Bay, Mike Evans felt a desire to challenge himself with a new chapter in the final stage of his career. Throughout the entire career, he pushed himself to grow, compete, and evolve as a player, and his decision reflects that same mindset. Mike has tremendous love and respect for the Buccaneers organization, the Glazier family, the coaches, his teammates, and especially the fans. And Tampa Bay will always be home to him, and he is deeply proud of everything they accomplished together. He also has great belief in the future of the Buccaneers wide receiver room. Mike has tremendous respect for Chris Godwin and believes that Jalen McMillan and Mecca and Tish Johnson are incredibly talented young players who will thrive as they continue to develop and take on larger roles in the offense. I mean, this is from a fantasy football perspective. This is a big deal for all that, like that wide receiver room. But man, I was not expecting that. That is crazy. Like, that is crazy. At this stage of his career, Mike's goals remain the same as they all have always been: to compete for another Super Bowl, to play in an offensive system that challenges defenses, and to be in an environment where he can continue to push himself and contribute at the highest level. The Buccaneers made it clear they would have loved for Mike to finish his career in Tampa and potentially become just the fourth player in franchise history to spend his career as a Buccaneer and ultimately walk in a can representing the organization. Mike Evans' decision to leave Tampa was never about money. The Buccaneers were extremely aggressive in their pursuit and presented a very strong offer, demonstrating how much they value him and everything he has meant to the franchise. In the end, this decision simply came down to Mike wanting a new challenge and a fresh opportunity while he still feels like he has a great deal left to the game. Tampa Bay will always be a special place for Mike Evans, and his respect and gratitude for the organization and its fans will never change. That is crazy. Mike Evans to the 49ers. Oh my gosh.
Open a whole new world of fascinating places and people for just $34.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I first ditched big wireless and started using Mint Mobile way back in 2019.
Hey, Adams, and being pretty happy that they did. Connor, sincerely appreciate the time, buddy. Know you got a lot going on. We will talk to you very soon.
All right, enjoy. Love the haircut, Robert.
Thanks, buddy. Speaking of people that have a lot going on, joining us now, it is our good friend from ESPN. It's Mina Kimes. Mina, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I was literally just wrapping up some videos and reports, and then the Mike Evans thing came across, like 2 minutes ago. So it is nonstop over here.
What are your thoughts? Well, how you feel about Mike Evans going to San Francisco?
The NFC West, good God. Jesus. This is such a weird counterintuitive take, but if I'm the Arizona Cardinals and I'm a fan of that team, it's probably good that y'all didn't sign Malik Willis. I saw some of them were kind of upset about that. Take your medicine, right? And you can start watching Arch Manning tape or something, because these other three teams are not effing around. You saw what the Rams did to their secondary. I think, for the Niners offense, obviously, Ayuk.
I just can't. I always thought Mike Evans was going to go back to Tampa, but he must have really been ticked off by how everything ended. Like, he really must have been that angry.
He's supposed to be that number one outside receiver, and that hasn't panned out. So there was a glaring need. I do like Pearsall, but he's got to stay on the field for me to like him. I think that offense, it lends itself very well to production for a big-bodied perimeter receiver. And so to get Mike Evans, who I will not count out until I see it with my own eyes, I think that's a pretty smart deal. I actually didn't see the money, though. Can you guys tell me? I just saw that.
We haven't seen it either. We just saw it was a 3-year deal, so I don't know what the money is. The Four Dragons meme, by the way, has never been truer.
No,
than it currently is for the NFC West. It has never been more applicable. And
my God.
Listen, the Cardinals are where the Cardinals are. The Kyler Murray thing was always kind of strange. I remember talking about this with people.
I do, like, if you're a Cardinals fan, you just have to have the worst luck. Not only are you an organization that is not run well, I mean, and I'm not trying to, like, I'm a Panthers guy, so like I know everything about I know a lot about organizations not being run well. That's not a diss. But all I'm saying is not only do you have an owner that continues to like score like not great and player rankings, but you are in a division with the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, with a probably the best well-run organization in the Los Angeles Rams, with an MVP and Matthews. I mean, it's just like, and then you've got the 49ers, who every year, like this past year, they would have won that division 9 out of 10 times. Like it's just wild. I just feel for Cardinals fans, man. Oh my gosh.
People there in the moment where you have a team that was deeply rebuilding as soon as Mania Ossenfort got there. And this goes beyond just the roster. Like they reset everything about the franchise when Ossenfort got there, because you had 4 GMs in a row that were internal hires going back like 30 years. And so like the scouting processes for the Cardinals just had to be completely overhauled. They tore the thing down to the studs. They tried to get as many rookie contract players in there as they could, all of these draft picks, but then you have a $46 million quarterback. And so you're trying to like pair those things together, and it never really made sense. And so the fact that we got to this messy ending is not surprising. So I'm not even admonishing them, but the fact that the Cardinals are where they are and these other 3 teams in the NFC West are just having this arms race for who could be the scariest team in the league is just a very funny place to have landed.
Yeah, I feel like Derek, am I wrong about Malik Willis? Like, I think that would have been a mistake for them.
Yeah, I would not have done that. I don't think I would have been super jazzed about that, because I think my thing with Malik Willis, it makes sense for a team like the Dolphins. The best that we've seen of Malik Willis is worse than any of the lows that we've seen from Kyler Murray, I think. And obviously the money is going to be a little bit different there, but with where they're at, I don't think it made a whole lot of sense. I am a little bit disappointed that this is where the Cardinals landed, though, because coming into this past season, and I know the injuries on defense like absolutely killed them, but I'll say it this way. We came out of the 2024 season being like, hey, they've got a little bit of something here. Kyler Murray played okay at the end. Like the offensive line had a little bit of something. You could sell yourself on the scheme. The defense was still pieces away, but it was like, man, if they hit on guys in the draft, it could really be something. And then all the guys they drafted got hurt, and they didn't really make any signings. I don't think they made a single signing on the offense. And so it was they had room to improve and to potentially be something. And now they've fallen flat, and now they have to fully reset. And so I do think it is a little bit disappointing from that front.
There's nothing. We already did one Charlie Day reference on this show, but to do another one, like go hide and work on a cure during Pacific Rim, like just like Charlie Day did. Like let the monsters and robots fight it out. And you can be in the mix in a year or two.
One of my favorite things about free agency discussions are if you have a team, which I do, right? When you're talking about these players and you're like, oh, I kind of like this guy. And then your team signs him and you're like, God, I hope this works out. That's exactly what just happened with Devin Bush.
Nobody is going to appreciate that Pacific Rim reference. And I want you to know that I appreciate a Pacific Rim reference. Oh my God. I appreciate that Pacific Rim reference. That's hilarious.
Chicago Bears signed Devin Bush 3 years, $30 million with $21 million guaranteed per Adam Schefter.
Really?
That's a lot of money.
It's not that much money.
He hasn't played a lot of good football. It feels like this is a little bit spooky to me. This is one that Devin
Bears had maybe the tallest off-ball linebacker in the league with Terrell Edmonds, and now they're going with the 5'11" guy. Like they just, in terms of body type, Derek, it's about as far away as you could be with 2 guys that were drafted very high.
Listen, if you need a linebacker 3, go bring in Denzel Perryman or something. There's a couple of other short guys on the market if you want to keep going that direction. That is surprising though from Dennis Allen. He usually does tend to like him a little bit bigger.
Yeah, and I think to me, the biggest thing to point out is just like the quality of the front that you're playing with in Cleveland is just so much different than the quality of the front that you're playing with in Chicago. And so what you look like behind that group compared to what you look like behind the Browns defensive line, that's probably what you have to be worried about when you're signing a player like this.
And I think for me too, like the attitude and the way that they play, like Cleveland is a lot of like single high, you've got one gap, go fly and go kill somebody. That's not quite really how the Dennis Allen defense played. And there were games last year where they did that because they had to. But I think
in his heart of hearts, that is not necessarily the type of defense that Dennis Allen wants to play.
Another bigger signing that we have not talked about quite yet that happened a few minutes ago. Per Tom Pelissero, the Steelers are the team, Derek, that is rolling the dice on Jamel Dean. 3 years, $37 million for Jamel Dean going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow. Really?
If he's healthy, I'm extremely into this. This is a kick you in the ass type of cornerback duo. Him and Joey Porter are like, I think both guys who are really good at putting hands on you, Joey Porter specifically. And so I think the Steelers last year got a lot out of guys at cornerback, both at the nickel and the outside cornerback spot. That was like, we can get by. Jamel Dean, if healthy, is a very, very good number 2 for them outside of Joey.
Dean was one of the best linebackers available. So I actually really like Dean. And I thought the Panthers might make a run for Dean. He's really, really good. So I'm fine with the Steelers paying that amount of money for him.
Porter. So this could be good for them. I'm also that on top of them bringing in Patrick Graham to call the defense now, like feels like a much different unit than it was even a few months ago.
We talked about the Dean contract and just the market that Dean might have after,
I can't
what last year's market looked like, Derek. And
I can't tell if Mina likes it or not, but you can tell she's like, I don't know how I feel about this.
In a world where DJ Reed was getting $16 million a year last year, to get Jamel Dean for 12. I understand his injury history is more checkered than that, but he played really good football last year. And so it's a decent price when you consider what the cornerback market looked like last year and what it's looking like this year for somebody like Jamel Dean.
I think that's all it is, right? And like, Mina, you probably agree. Like, he probably should make what DJ Reed made last year, if not for the injuries. He's also 29. Like, I think you add in some, if it was purely on what he can do as a ball player, it probably is the 16, 17 million range, but he unfortunately does have a little bit of extra baggage.
Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at he was amazing last year, like statistically, and whatever you think about nearest defender stats, he was like the best corner in football by a lot of metrics, in terms of like EPA per target and success rate and things like that. But it's been up and down, which is why the Bucs didn't bet on him. They bet on McCollum, and he hit his up just in time to get paid, but he also is 29. The thing though that caught my eye was like, it's the same age as Carlton Davis. And I remember last year when Davis did that deal, maybe Davis is like a tiny bit younger, but when he did the deal with the Patriots, I thought that's a great deal. And I feel like, I don't know why, maybe it's just the injury history with Dean. There's a little bit more apprehension around him, but at his high, and we saw that last season, he is an extremely good scheme versatile corner who I think is really good fit for what Graham wants to do. I do find the Steelers' general approach this offseason really interesting, trading for Pittman, giving him a contract, paying Dean. The suggestion here is that the Steelers expect to be a playoff team.
Yes.
Very good, right?
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like this is what the Steelers do every year, though, right? Like they refuse to ever have a full rebuild. They just refuse. They're okay being one game above 500, barely getting in and saying, oh, we've had this many winning seasons. It's the Steelers way. And I think a lot of Steelers fans hate it. As a Panthers guy, the reality of not having a losing season in that long is incredible. But I'm sure for Steelers fans, it's like, we're so freaking tired of this.
Would you think anything different?
And by all accounts, they're bringing back Aaron Rodgers. So I guess it's hard for me not to look at all of these moves through that lens. Like, you're running it back a quarterback. It's not likely he's going to be better than what we saw last year. I guess having a second receiver will help. And I do think Pittman pairs nicely with Rodgers, but is that a good bet? As we watch the Ravens do this big deal for Crosby and all of the, do we think the Steelers are self-aware? Let me put it that way, in some of these moves in conjunction with each other.
I don't think so. I mean, and this has been my frustration with them for a while now, is that this felt like, and let's leave the McCarthy thing aside, even if you wanted to go that direction with the coaching staff, I think that this was a chance for them to kind of.
Yeah. I've heard Robert talk about this before, and I agree with him. This is what they do. Like, there's no way that ownership group, that the Rooneys can say, let's have a rebuild. They're allergic they're allergic to any kind of rebuild.
Soft reset a little bit when it came to the age of the roster and how the expectations for the roster in the short term. Because this is a team that I think there is like a underlying current of young talent. This is a young roster if you wanted to get it young. They have a ton of draft capital this year. And so the fact that we're chasing guys who are going to be receivers and corners in their age 29 season as the big investments that you're making with a 48-year-old quarterback or whatever he is, it's just, I don't really understand like how that's all supposed to come together cohesively.
Understanding that we don't know where any of it's going to go and who's going to feel better about it. It's wild to think about Tyler Loop missing a field goal and all the wild stuff the Baltimore Ravens have been doing as a result of it. And the Steelers also changed head coaches, but they're just the Steelers still. Like it all feels like the same playbook with a different coach in that seat.
The Steelers' multi-year outlook at quarterback is like, I would love to talk to someone in the building and just be like, what are you going to do in 2027? Like, even if Rodgers is back this year, what are you going to do in 2027? Like, what is the ideal dismount from all of this? And just have them try to explain it to me.
I knew it was never going to happen in my heart of hearts, but I really wanted them to be the Malik Willis team. And I knew there was no chance. I knew it. But like, how exciting, like, or just, and maybe this will age poorly, the small sample size thing will play out, whatever. But thinking about Willis, with those receivers, that offensive line, it was exciting. Like if you're a Steelers fan, it would have been interesting at least. And then there's the obvious upside. But it was very easy for me to imagine a world in which they ran the football well, gave Malik the sort of coverages that I would say I wouldn't say needs, but are best for him to succeed. And then you have this great, perimeter receiver and DK Metcalf, who is honestly a perfect fit for him. It was just, I allowed myself to dream of that possibility. And now it just feels like, all right. What if it's not, though? Let me throw that out there because we're all assuming Rodgers comes back, even though he's been, saying whatever.
Being Aaron Rodgers.
But if it's not Rodgers, what is it? I mean, is it?
Can I set Mina? Can I sell you on Kyler Murray, Steelers quarterback?
Cool. I'd be more interested.
It's more interesting than running it back.
Yes, much more interesting than running it back.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean it's always been kind of my frustration here. So looking at everything else that's happening here, nothing else kind of coming across the timeline right now. But yeah, the Steelers and just I'd be very curious about that. And the Steelers right now, again looking at the draft capital for Pittsburgh, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks this year. Ooh. With 5 picks in the top 100. And so just an interesting inflection point for where this team is overall. And
kind of interesting, something that just came through. Let me share it with y'all. The Steelers have agreed. That's not what I wanted to pull up. ETN to the Saints. Rap Sheet just threw out the notion that Alvin Kamara could be retiring. So that's a pretty big deal if Kamara is retiring. Once again, I mean that would be interesting. Let's just say that would be interesting if Kamara is retiring. I don't see that happening. But I mean, ETN is much more. Also, Devin Lloyd signed with the Bears. So Davis Maddox says, who goes higher in fantasy drafts in 2026, Special Tootin or Travis Etienne, the New Orleans Saint? It's going to be interesting. The Rams now basically have no holes on the roster, draft capital to play, and a history of trying to play up for players in the last couple of drafts. Yeah, it's also, this is interesting. Jalen Phillips, it's the 8th most per year per average. So top edge rushers by average per year. Jalen Phillips' name sticks out like a sore thumb. It would have been ludicrous for Howard to pay. Micah Parsons, Aiden Hutchinson, TJ Watt, Daniel Hunter, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Nick Bosa, Jalen Phillips, Josh Hines Allen, Brian Burns, Nick Bonito. I mean, Eagles fans aren't going to love it, and that's fine. They don't have to love it. I love it as a Panthers guy. I think it's I think it's going to be really, really, really good. Kyle Brandt. The Panthers are serious people. I mean, I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. This is a huge get if you're Kansas City. I think this is a phenomenal get of your Kansas City. Walker ranked number 2 in missed tackles forced per carry. He's phenomenal. The issue with Walker has always been when you ask him to run up like A gap or B gap, he's just not patient. He wants to make the big play, but he has always, like, to me, Walker, his forced missed tackle rate is number 2. He's phenomenal. We saw how well he played, but like, yeah, I'm very, very fine. I mean, I think this is going to drastically improve. Now, the question when you get any running back is, what does your offensive line look like? I think the Chiefs' offensive line is okay. It's like average. I still think they could make improvements, but yeah, I'm more than fine with that. So essentially what he's saying is that the Seahawks faced 7+ man boxes last year, and he was still number 2 in missed tackles forced per carry, and that the Chiefs were the 4th lowest. So they were playing a lot of like zone, or they didn't have a lot of people on the line. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good hire. Everybody is going to say that it's an overpay. And it probably is an overpay. But if you got Ashton Genty last year, you need to solidify that offensive line. That offensive line was absolute garbage. That offensive line was I remember watching that. I think it was a Monday night game. Where the Raiders were playing, and they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't run the freaking ball because I don't care how good. Like, I don't care how good Ashton Genty is at breaking tackles. You still need to be able to, like, have an offensive line that gives you at least a yard before contact. So and I think Warren Sharp's about to talk about it here, but yeah, I'm fine with the overpay for Limberdom. They also have a lot of cap space. That's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, yeah, and anyone that watched the Raiders play, you could see how bad, like, you could just see how bad it was. This is why what Warren, his name is Warren Sharp, Becca. Thank you for asking. And Warren Sharp is talking about how Linderbaum essentially got a huge 27, $28 million per year for the Raiders. And he's essentially saying, look at, they rank that offensive line ranked 32 in yards per carry, 32 in stuff rate, 32 in EPA per rush, 32 in success rate. And so he's essentially making the argument, and I agree, that they needed the help. This is one of the worst offensive lines since 2013. Like it was just, it was bad stuff. So Raiders averaged 0.5 yards per contact per rush last year. Not just 32nd in NFL last year, worst to any team since 2013. Yeah, Ashton Genty was struggle busing all year because of it. I am being told that the volume is not working. So hold on 1 second. The volume is not working. So hold on 1 second. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird. That's weird.